Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this online forum this morning. Gaming machine and premises license applications and renewals, everything you need to know. Our aim this morning is to ensure your full understanding of the requirements and process for licensing gaming machines and premises for 2022. And we have here with us today members of the BGLC team. I anticipate our Executive Director, Vitus Evans, is already on. He's joining from another meeting. But we also have members of the BGLC management team, the BGLC licensing and registration team led by Maurice Thompson, Director of Licensing and Registration, and other members of our team here. So thank you very much to everyone here for joining. We also want to acknowledge and welcome and thank our special guests from Tax Administration Jamaica for taking the time to be with us this morning. We're going to go pretty much directly into the agenda because we know everyone has busy schedules. However, some housekeeping. We invite your questions at any time and ask you to either raise your hand so that we can acknowledge you at an appropriate break. And also you can type your question in the chat and then we'll read it out. If you want to speak your question, we will invite you to turn on your microphone so that you can ask your question. Our intention is to take questions in between each presentation. We don't require you to turn on your camera, but if you are asking a question and you can do so, we welcome you to do that. We would love to see your faces. So that's your option and you can use it how you wish. We will also have some poll questions. I think there are 3 or 4 survey questions that we're going to ask you to respond to throughout the sessions. They'll pop up on your screen and we ask you to participate by selecting the response on the screen of your device. And your responses to those poll questions will give us some interesting insights. So to start, I just want to check and make sure Mr. Evans is in because I want to invite him to address us to kick off the program. Is Mr. Evans here as yet? Okay, Mr. Evans is not in as yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with Mr. Maurice Thompson. And we're going to ask Mr. Thompson to start. And as soon as when Mr. Evans comes in, we'll give him an opportunity to speak at an appropriate, if he comes in while Mr. Thompson is doing his presentation, we'll ask Mr. Evans to speak after that. So Maurice Thompson, Director of Licensing, will speak with us to kick things off this morning. Thank you, Maurice.
Good morning, licensees, customers. Appreciate the fact that you have taken time out from a busy schedule to be with us. Welcome the guests also from PAJ for time. I'm just going to give an overview of the licensing arrangements for the upcoming licensing season. And I'm assuming that most of the persons here are already licensees or are potential licensees. So I'll make the message inclusive as I'll make the message as inclusive as possible. So the first thing I'd want to bring to person's attention is the fact that a due diligence investigation has been done on each person that owns or operates a machine, and on each person where a premises operator, that's where a gaming machine is operated. That due diligence investigation lasts for 5 years, and the commission will inform persons probably 3 or 6 months before it expires that the renewal is due. We however allow persons to continue to operate during the period until the due diligence is completed. So getting that out of the way, we move to the fees. And I know this has been an issue for some person in terms of the number of how the fees are paid or where they're paid. Sorry. And from last year, the commission has brought on board Bill Express, where persons can now pay their BGLC fees. And also we have good news for persons who also use the TAJ facility, which we'll speak to later on. TAJ will facilitate persons paying the machine fees online starting immediately. And you'll hear more about that. I think it's a welcome news for licensees who don't have to join the tax office lines during the pandemic to try and pay their fees. And as you know, as you saw in the introduction, our remote licensing commence this Monday in Mandeville. And so we encourage persons to use the facilities provided by the commission. In other words, the Bill Express facility, the TAG online facility. And if you use both facility and turn up at the tax office, we'll be in Mandeville on March 7th, February 27th and 28th, Montego Bay on March 7th and 8th, and Sablamar on March 14th and 15th. Have your completed application, your TAG online payment receipt, and your Bill Express receipt, and you'll be ushered inside the tax office. We expect if you use the facility that provided by the commission, we do expect you to be at the tax office more than 15 minutes. So we implore persons to try, we encourage persons to try and use the facilities. Even when you're coming to the commission, if you come to the commission with a completed application form, the TAG online payment and the Bill Express payment will also facilitate a quicker transaction of your licensing activities. Conditions of license. As I said, as I indicated earlier in my opening monologue, I expect that most persons here are licensees. And there are breaches that from time to time, or the compliance officers would go out and see. Coming for the 22-23 season, the commission is moving to a risk-based approach of licensing, meaning during the next 12 months, we'll be making fulsome assessment of each licensee, both the equipment and the premises. And persons who were called low-risk licensees, meaning that you have maintained all the conditions of your license, there's a possibility, high probability, that licensing going forward will be a little bit more easier for you. Against that background, I'd like to bring to attention persons some of the conditions of license that operators need to be aware of. One, the license that is granted by the commission must be displayed on the licensed premises. It's critical. It helps the customers to know that this premise is licensed. It helps the local authorities, being the parish councils and the local police, to know that you're licensed, and it separates your business from any unlicensed business that is in your area. So we implore persons to, one, when they receive a call from the commission that your license is ready, make yourself available to pick up those licenses. You have a 5-day period with which to pick up those licenses. And persons who are interested, you can inform the commission that you want the license to be couriered to you, and you pay for it during the licensing process, and the license will be couriered to you immediately as it has been granted. The other conditions of the license I want, especially premises operator, to be critically aware of, because it might affect not only the present premises that the machines are on, but any other premises that you want to put machines on. Our operators are gaming machine premises, prescribed premises operator. You must ensure that all the machines on your premises are licensed, meaning sometimes persons will say that they are transferred a licensed machine from premises A to premises B. We implore you to call the commission to find out if that is actually the case, because it has enforcement and compliance implications for you going forward. The other one is the requirement in terms of the acquiring new machines. The commissions presently have 35 licensed technical service providers. We implore you again to ensure that when you buy a licensed When you buy a gaming machine, it is from one of these 35 licensed technical service providers. The list is available on our website, and you can call the commission offices, myself, Ms. James, or Mr. Nunes, to inform you if whether or not a person, a licensee, is in fact licensed. Introduction of a customer number is the other main point. We're trying to make business as easy as possible when doing business with the commission for customers, because we understand some of the issues. So starting immediately, we'll be issuing customer numbers to all BGLC customers, including gaming machine operators and prescribed premises operators. These cards, these customer cards, which will be a physical card issued to the customer, like displayed on the screen, will have a unique number for each customer, and you can use that card in the payment of TJ levies, BGLC fees, which include the premises and the machine fees, and for your due diligence, which will also, we can keep a track of your account. I know sometimes persons pay, transfer, have business with the commission. It's easy enough for us to keep a track of your account. So we implore persons to, during this period, the customer cards will be given to you. We implore you to keep the cards safe and use the cards in their when they do business with the commission. At the end of the session, you'll be asked to do a customer service survey. Implore the persons again, even I know gaming machine operators, they have a wide span. Even when you complete the survey, we'd implore persons to, provide the surveys to their colleagues. We want to know how you view our service. We want to know how you feel about the commission service. We want to know areas that we can improve. We solicit your feedback, because it's important. If we're serving you, we want to know the areas that we are deficient in and the areas that you want to see significant improvement in. Again, I'd like to thank you again for taking time from your schedule to be here. And all the questions you ask, you can either put them in the chat or you can, at the end, let us know. And thank you very much again. And Jeanette, it's your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thompson. I'm not seeing any specific questions on the chat for you as yet, but stand by in case we receive any. Ladies and gentlemen, our Executive Director, Mr. Vitus Evans, has joined us from another meeting, and I'd like to give him the opportunity now to say a few words. We see that we have a number of our stakeholders here, and we're really happy to see the attendance. So the first in a long time that we are meeting with so many of our licensees. So this is really important for him to address you. Mr. Evans, you can unmute your mic on your camera.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear him, Evans.
Yes, thanks. Good morning, everyone. And let me apologize for the technical difficulties I've been having. But as Jeanette said, so good to see so many of you online. And let me say that I'm very happy that you're able to take time to actually join us in this forum. As Jeanette said, we have not a discussion with you for some time, particularly your subsector, the gaming operators and the machine and the premises operator. This is something we need to put right, because we want to meet with you on a more regular basis so we can actually have the discussion with you and you can know exactly what our plans, and we could know where your plans are, because we certainly find your input in whatever we do very significant as one of our critical stakeholders, and we want to work with you. I won't take you very long, keep you very long, because I know that you're looking to hear from the technical people in terms of the licensing and registration people, personnel. But let me quickly tell you that among our key objectives, which we have prioritized for the coming year, is one, to improve the gaming integrity. We really want to ensure that the integrity of the industry is actually intact, and we can actually boast that we have an industry with integrity. Secondly, we want to have satisfied and compliant licenses. We want to do the things that will satisfy you as a licensee, but at the same time, we want to ensure that on your side, you're compliant in terms of the things that you need to do to be compliant, because we want to actually ensure that at the end of the day, we have an industry where we actually recognize that our livelihood, it depends on it. It's an industry that we actually have invested in. And because of that, we want to make sure that everything is actually in order. On our side, I think we'll have to look at how we improve the processes that we have to ensure there's greater efficiency. I'm sure when you hear from Maurice, Vivian, from Lauren, you'll hear some of the things that we're doing, because we want to bring you online to be able to fill in your application as soon as possible and to have less bureaucracy in terms of what you're doing. So we recognize that on our side, and we want to actually ensure that we do things to improve our own processes in-house. The outcome we hope to achieve from all that is, one, we want to expand the legitimate participation in the industry. We certainly want to get rid of the illegal gambling and whatever crimes that's actually related to gambling. We are mindful of the number of illegal operators that are out there, and we do not think that it is fair to you, it's fair to the industry, it's fair to the sector, that we actually have illegal operators out there that actually are not following the same rules as you who are compliant. So we want to actually ensure we actually reduce the level of illegal players out there. And on the same vein, we want to increase industry compliance. So we are not there to just throw people out because we don't want them to participate. What we want to do is to make sure that they follow the rules and they actually join in and they do what they're supposed to do so that they can be compliant, and we can actually ensure that at the end of the day, we have an industry in which everyone and the public has confidence, because we really want to have people to have confidence in the industry that we're involved in, to know that it is a legitimate industry and it's a business for all the people who are involved. On our side, we are aware that there are certain aspects of the BGLC's operation that needs improving, and we're looking to actually improve those efficiencies. As I said again, we're looking at how we can deal with you online, how you can get your licenses on time, make sure that at the end of the day, you don't spend too long coming, or there may not even be the need to come to the office, but if you come, that the wait won't be too long in coming to the office. On your side, we expect you yourself now to ensure that no matter the size, no matter what, how many boxes you have, the size of your premises, that you actually work with us to make sure that you are duly compliant with the things that you have to do. I mean, we wouldn't want to be in a position where we are going out there, and I mean that because we have the compliance side, and we are finding that though you're licensed, but you have more machines than you were supposed to have, because that will actually then jeopardize your fit and proper, and that will actually ensure that you are out of the industry. So we're saying that work with us. We will work with you. If you have to increase the number of machines, the fees right now is not that much. You're talking about just $5,000. And there's no need not to be compliant in terms of what you do. And we also be relying on you in terms of working with us where you know that there are illegal operators, that you can actually work with us to ensure that we actually get rid of them and get them out of the industry. Let me take the opportunity to thank the representative from the Jamaica Tax Administration who are with us. Again, a key stakeholder with us, because I mean, as you know, the fees and levies that we actually have to collect, we are assisted in that process by the tax administration personnel, and you, the licensees, often have to interact with them. So we're happy that they are here, and any questions you may have of them that they'll be able to answer. But lastly, let me take the opportunity to thank the members of the BGLC that's involved in today's webinar, particularly the staff from licensing and registration. I know that most of you licensees interact with them on a day-to-day basis, and we feel that from today's webinar, they will be able to share with you exactly what our plans for going forward in 2022, and how we can make the system the process as smooth and as quick as possible. So again, I hope that we have a good day, a good meeting. And again, I apologize for my not being able to join you in time. Thanks, everyone. Jeanette, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans, we may have questions for you later. Will you be staying on longer, or do you have to go back to another meeting?
I'll be here. I'll be here for a while.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, sir.
Jeanette, there are some questions in the chat. I don't know if you'd want to want us to I would want him to pile up.
Yes, Mr. Thompson, I want to put the first question to you actually. There's a question as it relates to the transfer of machines from one location to the other. Could you speak to what the requirements are for that?
Right.
Some people are concerned that the transfer of machines is very time sensitive for operators.
All right. So the primary issue with the transfer of the machines is that we spoke about the due diligence process. A machine cannot just be moved to a premises because we do understand the social context of giving machine. Somebody might see a location that is in an ideal spot for a lot of foot traffic, and they want to quickly move a licensed machine from premises A to premises B. When a licensed machine moves from the premise that it is licensed for and move to any other premises, whether or not the premises has a license, those machines become unlicensed because the machine was not licensed for that specific locations or those specific locations. I think we have facilitated in terms of there's no fee associated with the transfer of machines. It's just filling out the transfer form and informing the commission that the transfer will be done. The reason why it can be time consuming is that sometimes, in most instances, the premises that the machines are going to, the premises operator does not have, is not fit and proper. And that has to, the premise operator has to go through the process of completing the fit and proper.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Thompson. I noticed that a gentleman named Douglas Dawson has his hand up to ask a question. Mr. Dawson, would you like to open your mic and your camera if you wish to ask your question? Thank you.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
I'm actually new. I'm trying to apply to become a gaming machine operator. However, I have the form in mind right now, and I am having some difficulties understanding some sections on the form, like a report from a licensed credit bureau. I don't know what that is, and tax compliance certificate. I'm actually a government worker, so I was wondering if that is already taken care of, being that my taxes are paid by salary deduction.
Mr. Thompson or Vivian, would
Vivian, could you take that, please?
The question in regard to the credit bureau, and then Mr. Dawson, what I would ask is if you could put a direct message to me in the chat as to your telephone number, and we'll have a licensing officer call you and go through the form with you in great detail.
All right, I can do that.
Okay, so put your telephone number in the chat as a direct message to Jeanette Lewis, and I will have a licensing officer give you a call. Vivian, about the credit bureau question.
Thank you.
Good morning, all. As it relates to the credit bureau, currently there are 2 such offices in Jamaica. And as Jeanette had rightly pointed out, we are all too happy to assist with directing persons to whichever one is more convenient for them so that they can proceed with getting the credit report. It's free up. The first one each year is free of cost to the individual, but I do believe it's a process that you have to apply for it online.
So we would like to apply for it. We're exactly online.
Well, as Ms. Lewis had indicated, once you put your number in the chat, we will contact you and we can provide you with the details in terms of contact number and address of both credit bureaus.
All right, thank you.
And
I think there's another question.
Yes, Morris. Okay. And what I will do in regard to the credit bureau's team is that that's not information that's currently on our website. We will actually add that to the information resources so that people can have quick access to that information. There's a question, Mr. Thompson, is there a way we can view our locations online to keep abreast of all the locations and ensure everything is captured correctly and completely?
So presently, that's not possible. Our executive director spoke about some of the efficiencies that we want to get to in the future. This is something that we want to get to in the future. I don't think it will be possible for the 2022-23 period, but GPS locations, GPS identification of all locations and customer access to their own accounts is something that strategically the Commission and the licensing department is looking forward to in the medium term.
Thank you, Maurice. There is another question about the customer card, the customer number card. Do you have to pick up the card in person, or can someone pick it up on your behalf?
Well, either way, but if somebody's picking up the card on your behalf, some kind of letter has to be written on the behalf of and provide a person provides identification. The card will be given to the person with the letter, authorizing that authorization letter.
Okay, thank you for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's really important for us to be able to contact you directly to give you updates. So I'm going to put a poll question on the screen and give you about a minute to respond, asking you to select the best option for how do you prefer to receive updates and general information from BGLC. We have been sending updates by email. So we're asking for licensees to put their email address on their application forms. We've also been we're also communicating via WhatsApp, and our WhatsApp number is 876-224-2452. So I'm going to ask our technical team, please, to put the poll question on screen. How do you prefer to receive updates and general information from BGLC? So you can select the option. This will just give us an idea of what are the preferences generally. And Mr. Thompson, while the poll question is on screen, we have another question. How does the BGLC advise persons that they are fit and proper? And couldn't the BGLC issue a certificate in this regard?
Well, currently, as soon as the fit and proper is complete within 5 days, a letter is sent to the applicant or the potential licensee with the address that they indicated on the due diligence form. With the letter is sent to that. The letter is sent to that address. I think so. This poll question that you put up, I think it segues neatly into this question, because we'd love to provide the due diligence result in a manner or in a format that we know persons actually see, because we know that a lot of times letters are returned to us, so persons are not aware that they are fit and proper. So in this medium, persons, licensees and potential licensees, we could have now a data bank or database where we know this is where we can contact our licensees and provide real-time update on anything, due diligence expiry, due diligence need to be done, licensing update, any new development within the industry.
Thank you, Maurice. I think the suggestion about the question about fit and proper certificate may be something that we can probably take away and discuss internally to see how we can actually provide our licensees with some kind of tangible evidence of that. There is also a question, and I see Kellyanne Walker has her hand raised. Would you like to open your mic and ask your question, Ms. Walker? And you can turn on your camera if you wish as well. Okay, maybe Ms. Walker isn't. Kellyanne Walker Lewis, would you like to open your mic and ask your question? Okay, so there was another question in the chat, Mr. Thompson, related to, my chat screen has disappeared.
Yeah, so I saw that question about the fees be paid on one receipt. Lorraine
Well,
James.
that question on the fees, we're going to hold off until we're talking about payments, but the question
Okay.
related to if a box has been removed from your premises, can you still get your fit and proper?
Removed, meaning by enforcement, it was seized because it was illegal, it was removed because the licensee wanted to remove it to another premises. Remove is I can't answer with just the remove alone. I need to know the circumstances under which it was removed.
Okay, so the question is, if boxes were removed from the premises, can you still renew your fit and proper? So if the boxes were removed by enforcement, Mr. Thompson, can you still renew your fit and proper?
There's a pro. So you'd have so if the machines were seized from a particular premises, the premises operator would have reached the BGLA, and there's a process where there's an appeal process that the person goes through. We give the person a chance to hear the reasons why the unlicensed machines were on their premises. In some cases, it might mean that the person may lose their fit and proper. And then in some cases, it might mean that it just depends on the circumstances.
Okay. Asking Kellyanne Walker Lewis to unmute if you have a question, or Richard Hukim, you can unmute and ask your question.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
How you doing? I visited the office last week. I mean, not last week, yesterday, to just a few. You hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Let's go
Yeah,
ahead.
man, just to air out a few concerns I had. One, the process in which the time in which it takes to actually receive the official certificate and vehicle for the approvals, the approved machines and premises as well. Why do we have to wait so long? And when we actually get it, me personally, I have not received all decals for all machines for like one location per se. Is there a more efficient way that you guys can actually sanction this kind of exercise, whether by receiving the certificates via email with a particular QR code, so when inspection happens, you guys can actually just scan it and you can validate it right there on the spot. That was one concern I had. And two, maybe I was late, so maybe somebody spoke about this already in relation to theft. How do we address the issue of theft with it being so rampant right now?
So Mr. Thompson, if you could address the issue of the timing, and Mr. Hukim, we'll talk about that theft issue in another forum. We realize that it is a serious issue.
Yeah.
And we think it deserves its own attention, and we certainly will address that in another forum. I'm expecting the Director of Enforcement to join us, and I'll ask him to make a comment in that regard. Yes, Mr. Mackey is here. So I'll ask him to make a comment in that regard after Mr. Thompson speaks to the matter of timing.
Sure.
So Mr. Hukim, the first one I'd like to say, we recognize the issue in terms of the timing, the efficiency, the time lag between application and the granting of the license. And that is one of the things that it's a top priority issue for us going forward. We're in the process of acquiring a new system that will assist us to get some of the things that you're speaking about, a QR code and the license being prepared, sent to you, and so on and so forth. I can't make any guarantee that will be ready for this period, but it's in terms of the licensing department and the commission's team. I think Mr. Evans spoke to it in his introduction. That is something that we are aware of. We are cognizant of it. We like to apologize to the licensees, and we are taking aggressive steps address the situation.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. On that question about the removal of the boxes, Noel, Maurice, the writer says it was not removed by any enforcement. It was just removed because of a situation beyond my control. So I was wondering if renewing my fit and proper would be an issue.
Well, all we ask persons to do when the machines are being removed from a licensed premises, just inform the commission. So if it's going home or it's going to storage or it's going to another, whatever, just inform the commission. And that won't stop your fit and proper. We understand the business dynamics of the gaming machine business. We understand the fallout between premises operators and machine operators can happen. So we can't really penalize a person if there's a fallout. All we ask is that the commission be informed when it happens. Sorry.
Okay, there's another question for you, Mr. Thompson. Why can't we get all the licenses in one package when they're granted instead of different times?
All right, so we'll ask Ms. James to speak to that.
Okay, good morning all. Welcome.
Good morning.
Okay, so we recognize that it is a problem that we have that persons not getting their licenses, especially when you apply for more than one premises. But we are hoping, we are working on it this year because we know that it is really not feasible for you to get it at the same time, but we are looking at ways to change that this year we can look at giving you your license in a timely manner at one time.
Thank you, Lorraine. I know there are a number of factors that go into play when you are doing processing of licenses, and maybe what we can start doing is communicating more directly with the licensees just to let them know what the status is as things go along. Maybe. And
just to add to just to add to that, Jeanette, what happens sometimes is that when you send in bulk applications, there are incomplete applications for some of the premises, and that also will cause that some are processed before some others.
Mm-hmm. And I guess also if you have to inspect locations and you don't want to hold up the licenses for all the entire batch, if you can issue some first and others can come later when you finish the entire process for them, presumably.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. What we'll do is move on to the next presentation, which will be from Vivian Nunez.
Hi, Jeanette.
Oh, Noel is here. Hi, Noel. Go ahead.
Yes, well, you saw I was here, but I wanted to address the issue of larceny that was brought up by Mr. Hukim. I can sincerely empathize with the licensees who have been affected by theft. But I need to inform the industry that the BGLC is empowered by our regulation, our act. Now, what has happened by those machines being stolen is an act of larceny. Our act doesn't empower us to investigate larceny. That can only be done by the JCF. But what we are working with the police to do is to make changes internally, because of course this has been something that is become extremely prevalent recently. This is not something we had to deal with on this level in the past. So as a result of seeing the changes in the industry now, we are taking steps internally to try and work with the police and give them more information that will hopefully lead to arrests of individuals.
Yeah, Noel, thanks. But I understand the capacity of how what betting and gaming has.
Right.
And of course, it is a police matter. There's no other person that can handle that kind of situation than the police.
Correct.
But I think structure needs to be in place, though.
Structure in terms of
just to I don't know how serious police actually take the theft that's happening across our bars. Maybe they still see it as an informal kind of system,
right.
You know, that kind of thing. We just want to make sure that if there's theft of a machine it is taken seriously.
No doubt about it. I would agree with you. I think that sometimes due to the overwhelming nature of the work that they have to deal with, they probably put this on a very low priority level. But I can tell you that I had a meeting with the superintendent of police for CTOC, who we work with.
Right.
CTOC is a branch of the JCF that has the mandate to deal with illegal gambling. So even though this isn't illegal gambling, I clearly want to meet them to let them know of what is happening, so that, of course, we can start to work together. And as I said, BGLC is looking at things that we can do internally to provide the information with more information that would hopefully let them get to the stage where they can make an arrest. And of course, that when you start to see arrests taking place, that you will see becoming a real deterrent.
Okay. Well, I guess it's a different kind of conversation as what Ms. Lewis was saying.
No, I think the conversation what Mrs. Lewis was leading towards was the things that we're looking at internally. I think once we've satisfied ourselves that this is the route to go, I think we could probably call another meeting with you guys to say, look, we understand what's been taking place, and this is what we are doing on our side to try and work with the police to resolve the problem. But as I just said, and Maurice had indicated before, a lot of changes are taking place internally right now. Okay. And once we're ready, we'll probably have another meeting to discuss the stealing of machines from licensees.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much, Noel. So we have a couple other comments before I invite Vivian to speak with us about payments. The benefits of adhering to the rules of BGLC is not being communicated to the wider public, nor is it a tangible benefit for us as premises operators. We pay fees, etc., but customers play the unlicensed and licensed machine alike. So what's the big difference? I think the big difference relates to enforcement actions in terms of seizing machines. But Mr. Thompson, can you highlight for us the benefits to our licensed operators for being licensed? And we certainly will take on board that in our communications with the general public. We will start doing more to communicate the benefits for consumers to gamble or play games with licensed operators. But Mr. Thompson, the benefits for you can unmute Mr. Thompson and talk about the benefits for a licensed operator.
All right, so for the licensed operator benefit is that you're operating your business in a legitimate manner, meaning patrons can come to your premises and play your machine with the background that these machines are licensed. So your machines will not be seized, your premises will not be closed down, you will not be disbarred from the industry. Police or local personnel will not have to close down your bar or seize your machine. And you're operating in an industry that we want to legitimize the industry. So we want persons to be a part of this legitimate, compliant industry, and the persons can boast that they are part of an exclusive club.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Thompson. So that we can keep our program moving, we will ask Mr. Vivian Nunes to speak with us about payments. I noticed there are some questions. Ms. Campbell, Ms. Larmond, I see your hand raised. Don't lower your hand. And as soon as Mr. Nunes finishes, we will ask you to share your question with us. Vivian.
Good morning again, everyone. So on the matter of payments, for most persons who are online, you would be quite aware that there are two sets of payments required when licensing your gaming machine and premises. There are payments required at the tax office, TAJ, and there are payments required for BGLC licensing fees. I will first touch on the TAJ payments. So of course, you know that levies as it relates to gaming machines, the fee per annum, it's $5,000 for each gaming machine. For gaming premises, the levy, it's $2,500 per annum. As Mr. Thompson alluded to earlier, steps have been put in place to facilitate a more efficient and convenient way of making payments So tax administration launched the facility so that you can avail yourself of making TAJ payments online. And our colleagues from tax admin will walk you through that process later on into the presentation. As it relates to BGLC fees, again, Mr. Thompson indicated that last year we launched Bill Express as another payment option for our licensees. So we encourage persons to utilize that option. Persons who have or are in line with making payments online, you still can make those payments online. For Scotiabank customers, you can set up BGLC as a bill payee and make your payments. For persons who bank with other financial institutions, you can also do transfers from your account to the BGLC account. But we do encourage those persons to ensure that you indicate your name and TRN in the comment section so that your payment can be quickly and easily identified, so that the processing of your application can commence immediately. One thing I would like to highlight as it relates to payment at Scotiabank, over the years, we have facilitated over-the-counter payments to Scotiabank to the BGLC account. Going forward, that will no longer be facilitated because it has proven to be somewhat counterproductive. So therefore, persons who wish to make payments to Scotiabank, if it's not online, there is a night deposit process that is required for you to make those payments. If it is that you are interested in using that facility, then I would invite you to contact the office and speak to a licensing officer so that we can walk you through that process and what is required to do that. We do believe that Bill Express is the most convenient, is a very convenient option. You can do Bill Express online, as well as there are over 300 Bill Express locations island-wide. Again, persons who have Scotiabank accounts or persons who bank online, you can make your payments online. But again, I implore you to ensure that you put details in the comments so that we can quickly identify what those payments are or who they are from, so that you can be contacted and the process of renewing our license in your gaming machine and your premises can be initiated. I believe that is all the payments that are required. I don't think I mentioned what the BGLC fees are. So it's $5,000 as well for each gaming machine, and that's per annum, and it's $1,000 for the premises per annum.
Due diligence fee, Vivian?
For persons who are new to the industry and want to get into the industry, as Mr. Thompson alluded to, the legislation provides that persons who are interested in obtaining a license from the BGLC undergo a background check process. Generally speaking, for persons who want to get into the industry who are locals, the background check fee is $5,000, and it's a one-time fee. Bear in mind that, as Mr. Thompson indicated, that your background check is renewable is due for renewal every 5 years. At the moment, for persons whose due diligence has expired, particularly as it relates to those in the 19 and under market, there is no cost to renew your due diligence. If there are any changes to that, certainly the public will be duly advised beforehand.
Okay, Vivian, thank you very much. In regard to payments, there is a question. Can fees for gaming machines that should be paid to the tax office for various locations be on one receipt? So I'm not sure exactly what that's referring to. Is it
I think I can speak to that.
You are the expert.
Over the years, the tax admin has facilitated that. I must say though, persons who wish to pay online, if you have multiple locations, you are required to register a branch extension to your TRN for each of those locations. And how the online payment service works is that you have to pay for each branch separately. For the inline process, currently that is still facilitated where you can make multiple payments for multiple locations on one receipt. When the tax admin makes their presentation, I believe they can confirm whether that is so, but I do believe that is facilitated still for inline payments.
Okay, thank you, Vivian. I'm going to ask our technical support to put up the next poll for our participants to indicate what is your preferred location to pay BGLC license fees. The options that Vivian outlined were Bill Express, which you can do in-store or online. You can make payments via Scotia Online as a bill payment, where you'd have to register BGLC as a bill payer. You can make a payment at the BGLC office here at 78 CEF Hanley Park Road. You could do a direct transfer from your bank account to BGLC. Again, that would be would need to indicate your customer number in the transfer record, or you can do it in branch to the teller at Scotiabank as a bill payment. You would have to tell the teller you're making a bill payment.
Jeanette?
Yes, Mr. Thompson.
There are two. There's a important from Mr. Francis about the due diligence that was delayed for the higher end due diligence. I think Mr. Evans should probably speak to that.
Yes, I was going to address that question after we did the poll.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And there's a question, Maurice, good morning. For the prescribed premises worker license, personal declaration form, permit, could the BGLC give individual permits to the staff, like food handlers permit card?
That's something we're also thinking about.
Okay. So based on the poll, we're seeing that most people would prefer to be able to transfer from a bank account to BGLC to make their payments. So
bill payment by Scotia.
Well, we have to recognize that not everybody banks with Scotia. So we'll have to look at what banks the licensees are using so that we ensure that when transfers are made from one bank account to our Scotia account, that it can be identified. The biggest challenge we've had, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are unable, when a transfer is made and there is no reference given to in terms of name or account number, which is one of the reasons why we've introduced the customer number, we can't identify who has made the payment. And so which is why we've put in other methods that allow that information to come across more transparently. Bill Express online, Bill Express in store also works very efficiently. Can you speak about the prescribed worker form, Mr. Thompson?
The prescribed premises worker, is it the question from Natasha Clark?
Yes.
Oh, so I'll say that we were actually thinking about, he's asking why can't we give the prescribed premises worker something like a food handler's permit, something like that. We actually, it was introduced about 3 or 4 years back ago, but it's something we're looking actually to reintroduce again. So each prescribed worker will provide with some kind of identification from the BGLC.
Okay, thank you so much for that. We have a hand raised from Nadia Larman. Ms. Larman, would you like to unmute your mic and ask your question?
Yes.
You have to unmute your mic, Ms. Larman.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I received my license on the 30th of the 9th, 2021, and I haven't paid any license fee as yet. So where should I go to start making the payment?
You receive your license. That means that will be the license for the 2021-2022 licensing period, right? So it expires March 31st.
Yes, sir.
2022. All right, so you could go either to, we were speaking about it, going online to pay a TAJ amount, and then going to
Okay.
Bill Express to pay the BGLC amount. You could do that. Yeah, you could start doing that right as we speak now. We're in the period
Okay.
now. The law allows you to start doing that from 6 weeks before the license expires, which should be about the 14th of February.
Okay.
But just to add, Miss Larman, would you care to share your location? As in the parish?
It's Mandeville, Manchester, Greenfield, Bethel Street.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you had heard when Mr. Thompson was indicating, but we do have a remote licensing session where you can submit your renewal at the tax office next week, Monday and Tuesday. But we encourage you to make the payments beforehand so that you get in and out of the tax office next week if you choose to come to the tax office.
Okay, all right then. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We have a question from Aya Campbell. Your hand is raised. You can unmute your mic to ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Yes,
Please go
Mr.
ahead.
Morning.
Good morning. I have two locations of my game machine, but they were registered in one. So what would I have to do now to get the two of them registered?
So can you clarify? You have two locations and you want to get, you have one already registered?
I registered the premises. There's only one premises, but I removed two of the machines from the premises that I registered in and put for one another location. So I have two locations now. So what would I have to do to get that premises back on the license?
So as Mr. Thompson had explained earlier, before you move the machines, did you submit a transfer request to get the approval to transfer the machines to a new location? And was the new location registered or licensed before you actually transferred the machine?
It was in the system already before I transferred it to the other location. So I wanted now to put it back in the system. So first it was at Becky's in South, and now it's at Nadine's Wholesale and Bar.
So Miss Campbell is your name, right?
Yes, sir.
So both locations are licensed locations.
Yes.
All right. So as Miss Lewis pointed out, if the fact that the machines are licensed and transferred, move to another licensed location without the commission's permission, the machines that were transferred are unlicensed. All you need to do now, and it should be done prior to any movement, as I spoke to earlier, is for you to complete the transfer form and inform the commissioner where the machines were moved from and where they are moved to.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Before we move on, Ms. Campbell, it's Aisha Campbell, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what we will do is have a licensing officer make contact with you so that we can ensure that we have all the information necessary to guide you appropriately.
Sure, no problem. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Jeanette, just one other benefit. I know somebody had asked about the benefit of registering. One of the things we have seen in the last year or probably 2 or 3 years is the bank persons, game machine operators seeking letters from the commission because of that proof of where you got your revenues from. Being a licensed operator, the commission does provide those letters for banking information, which facilitates the growth of your business, because without a banking facility, it's difficult to grow your business. So that's one benefit to a licensed operator. To have your premises and your machines licensed. You're in the system, and the commission can provide empirical evidence for any revenue regulatory body or financial institution to confirm same. And thanks, Fiona, for that suggestion, indicating that.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Okay, I see hands raised, Mr. Ray and Mr. Williams. We want to move on to the next presenter, which are our guests from the Tax Administration Jamaica, to allow them to make their presentation on online payments at TAJ and also branch registration. And then if you don't mind, we will take your questions after that segment. So I introduce Ms. Eichelin Goldburn from Tax Administration Jamaica, and she will take us through some important information in that regard. Thank you, Ms. Goldburn.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me today.
Good morning.
I am Eichelin Goldburn, as mentioned, acting business requirements specialist at Tax Administration Jamaica. I am going to share my screen. Can someone confirm if you're seeing my screen?
No, we're not seeing it. Seeing it coming up now. Yes, it's on.
It's in slideshow?
Yes,
Yes,
it's in.
for seeing your slide presentation. Thank you.
All right. All right, so today I'm tasked with going through the payment process online for making your license payments, as well as for individual that has more than one branches, how to get those branches associated to your TRN. So the fees that we will be looking at today is a gaming machine annual levy, as well as the premises levy. How do we get these payments done? What is required? You will require to have a tax administration logon or e-service account, your TRN, the branch for different locations, the filing period, that is the payment, the period that you'll be paying for. And for the gaming machines, you'll need a number of machines to make the payment. You'll also need the amount, but for the online, the amounts are embedded. So you just need to know the machines and it calculates that for you. A valid email address is also required so that when the payments are made, the payment normally send 2 emails, one to give you the instructions. If you don't want to make the receipts, if you don't want to print the receipts on time at the same time, and also a credit card. So your first option, or your first step rather, is to visit our website at www.jamaicatax.gov.jm, and we have 2 options where you can log in. You have to the top right hand corner where you have the login, or you have client logon, which will take you to the section for you to put in your username and password. If it is your first time, we also have the section where it says create an account, because you cannot proceed without having an account. All right, this will take you to, once you have logged on, this will take you to our e-services page where you will select make a payment, or you can make a non-log-on payment. Why non-log-on? Because we have an e-service account where we have return-related payments. And this one does not require return, so hence we call it non-log-on payments. So you can either select make a non-log-on or make a payment. From there, it will take you to our information page, which will tell you about the service, what is required, and after you're finished, what is expected. As long as you have selected next, it will ask you payment for, which we have a drop down, which is usually in alphabetical order, but what you'll be paying is your gaming machine annual levy and your gaming premises. At this time, we do not have the option for you to select both. So if you want to make for more than one period or for more than, and for both, we're not able to do that at this time, but it is in the making. Hopefully by the end of the year, we will have something to that effect. You will then select next, whichever one you choose to do first. So we're selecting the gaming machine annual levy. All right, so here we have selected the gaming annual levy. So what is now required is the TRN and the branch. Branch meaning different location. For organization, it could be the main branch, which ends with 4 zeros, or branch 1, branch 2, and so on. The filing period, oh, just a point to note, the TRN, if the TRN is incorrect, it validates the TRN, so it will give you a message. In the next slide, I'll show you. For the filing period, it allows you to select from a drop down what period you want to pay for and the number of machines. If you want, you don't have to use a calculator to calculate anything, because the code is embedded in there for the amount. So all you have to do is to put the amount of machines. So if it's 10, you'll see the 5,000 times the 10 there. All right, this is what I was saying about the TRN. So if it is incorrect, it will come up with an error. So you won't be able to proceed without having correcting the TRN. And this is what I was saying about the period. So you just select, so you don't have to type in anything. If you don't know, if it's from April to March for the period, the information is there for you. So this is the information completed. So the TRN, the 00 for this branch, what is the main organization, the filing period selected, and it allows you to select the future period, which is April to March of next year. So that means that you'll be very on time. Then the number of machines, what I'm paying for today is 2. So it calculates the 10,000 for me. Then you select next to proceed. Then it will take you to, or site will now take you to the contact information page. So whoever, if it's an organization, then it is the authorized individual's information is here. You need the email so that we can send you those confirmation emails, who, and a phone number. Then you will select next as long as that information is completed. Then it asks you to review your payment, because from here, you won't be able to go back. If you continue, it will take you to the payment gateway for you to use your credit card, which I'll show you next. So you confirm your payment and click continue. All right, so this is now the payment gateway. So it gives you again to review what you're paying, and then you confirm so that now you will have your credit card ready. All right, so after you have selected that, this is the information for your credit card, which is similar to other sites where you have your name on the card, the card type, card number, the expiration date, and the CVV code for you to approve those payments. Then you select pay to pay Tax Administration Jamaica. If your payment is successful, you will get a confirmation page that tells you that the payment is successful, and it will redirect you to the screen if you want to print the receipt immediately. Then it will take you to this page, and you just select print receipt. And then it will, in the bottom right-hand corner here, you select print again, and it will generate your receipt for your $10,000, the organization name, the period. If it is that you choose not to print the receipt at that time, then we send you 2 emails, one with the payment advice that gives you the obligation code for you to print. So this is one. And this is the other email notification that gives you the instruction on how to generate that payment later. All right, so you'll need to log on back onto the website when you're ready, same username and password, and it's the same remember earlier I said that make a non-log on payment, so just below it, it says generate a receipt. And this information is in this email that you would have received from the confirmation. It says generate payment receipt link on Tax Administration portal. So you select that, and it comes up with a window for you to select. So you made a raise online payment. The reference code is from the email, from your payment advice, and the amount that was paid. And you click search. Comes up with the same information that you had before. Click print or select print, and you get your receipt. So this is now your official receipt that you may print and now take to BGLC. Easy, right? So we're expecting a lot of persons to come and make a lot of payments online to avoid the
yes, I take all the money. I agree.
Just a point to note though, we have other BGLC related payments that are online, the return related ones for gaming, lottery, racing and sports betting that is done via our e-services account. And we also have an online option of using direct fund transfer. The ones that I did today are also in the making to use that form of payment as well. All right, so registering your branches. There was a question earlier that says why it can't be on one receipt, because for each location, we assign a branch to each. So there are 3 ways of getting these branches on your TRN. Can be by registering a business name at the Companies Office of Jamaica. What it does is that when you make that application, an electronic request is sent to tax administration and an automatic registration is done and it is printed on the document that you receive from the Companies Office of Jamaica. It is usually at the bottom of the certificate. So you would need to visit tax administration at all, especially if you're going online. You just go online and do your registration and make your payments. All right, so we also have an inline process and an online process. For the inline process, you will require a form. So for an individual, it will require an additional information, which is also available on our website. And for the company or an organization, there is an additional information as well for organization. So when that is completed, that is attached with a business name registration, if it is that you are not using your name as an individual, or the organization themselves are using the same name for the branch locations without using another name, you would need this business name registration certificate. A valid identification of the applicant, whether it's a proprietor or the company director, and the form must be signed. For individual, a NIS card is required for the branches. All right, so all of this will be submitted inline over the counter at tax administration in the taxpayer service unit. For the online process, this is where you have to go further with your logon. You have to create an e-service login. So that logon that you created, we have an application that is embedded in the system for us to link your account. So when you go on, if you have income tax or other BGLC return related accounts, you'll be able to see those and file online and so on. So if you don't have that, then you won't be able to do the registration for the branch. All right, so when you log into your e-service account, we have to your right where it says I want to, you select that, select registered branch. We always have an information page to tell you about the service, what you need, and after you finish, what is supposed to be expected. And I suggest that we read and not just click next. All right, when you go to the next screen, it'll ask you to add a record. This record is similar to the application form, so application would not be required. So you would need to do an application and upload it because the information from the application form is embedded in this section. After you have completed the information related to the name and the address and the type of activity, you select next. And this will ask you for some upload, some attachments. So remember from earlier, I said the business name registration, NIS, it can be a verification letter if it's for an organization or the physical NIS for the individual, a photo identification, and if you have any additional thing to be uploaded. So you have select the add for the attachment, and then you upload all of these. So you'd have these in a file already and you upload that. Then you submit, and a tax administration officer will view. So you'll get a confirmation to say that this document was submitted and that it was successfully done. All right, so what will happen is that tax administration officer will review this application. So it doesn't automatically create the branch. So if it is that all the information is not completed, we normally ask that a phone number is there or a valid email so that we can reach out to you. So we won't have to reject that application. So providing that everything is okay, a data sheet, it is approved and a data sheet is provided. So you can access that on your e-service portal. So that is usually like within two days or so. So when you log on to your e-service account, there's a correspondence tab. To your right, because a letter was just generated, it will show you here, TRN data sheet, or you go to the right that says view letters, and it will give you the data sheet information. So you select the data sheet, and you will see something like this with the address, the business name, when you did the registration, and if you have directors, it will be there. So this is what you will have for each branch. This is what they would prepare. Tax administration will be prepare for each branch. So this one would have been branch 2. If you had 5 locations, it could go up to 5 for individuals. For organization, if you have 5, it would include the main branch, which would have 00, and you'd have 4 additional one, which would have the information right here. So the main TRN, which includes 9 numbers, and then the extension, which is 4. And this is what the application form looks like for the additional information. And I said before, it is on our website. This one is for the individual. It says, even if you don't remember, the individual is there. It said additional information and the individual is there. And for the organization, we have the organization noted there as well. And just a point to note that we are on several platforms. If you need to reach out to us, our contact information is there. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it was very fruitful and expecting the online portal to be filled with new persons.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Colburn. We have a couple of questions. There is a question about the individual branch payment requirement for THA might be a challenge for payment because most machine operators don't own or operate the location. I don't know if that's a question that...
No, man, it's fine.
Okay.
So what is happening is that even though you are at different location, you're one individual and we have to identify each location where you're at. So that is how the branch is. So for an income tax return that they would be reporting the income on, all of this is done on one form. So all the income is coming from that. So it's just to identify where you are or where your boxes are.
So, Ms. Colburn, the possibility exists that 4 operators may have machines on one particular premises and use the same premises as the branch number. Would the system recognize and cause, and do you have any challenges if somebody attempts to do something like that?
No, because if you have a complex, it's just that you probably have a shop 1, 2, or 3, or so on. But even if it is there, it won't tell you that we have a match or won't accept that particular address because somebody else is using it.
Okay.
Especially based on the nature of what it is that they are doing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So you're saying the branch code, the branch location does not have to be applied for by the person who owns and operates the branch itself, the property owner. If I have a gaming machine at a location, and Maurice Thompson has a gaming machine at that same location, we can both register a branch number for the same location.
Yes,
we can
because
pay
the payment, right, yes. Because the payment is based on your TRN.
Okay.
All right. Jeanette, there's a question I think.
There was, yes, I'm sorry. There was a question about why it can't be paid on the same receipt. It's because of the branch numbers. And facilitating, if you come and tell us that you have 10 machines, we'll collect the 10 machines, but you still would have to pay for the premises differently. I'm not sure how that would work for you, but if they tell us that it's different location, we're going to ask them to do the branch registration.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody walks in line, has 10 locations with machines, 10 separate locations with machines, will TJ facilitate the inline person to pay for the 10 separate premises with machines and the 10 premises on one receipt?
No, it won't accommodate that on one receipt.
Okay.
It's not so designed, no.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeanette, there's a question I want to talk about the proration and the fees online. And I think we want to make it clear, effective immediately, there'll be no more proration of game machine fees or premises fees.
Okay, so whether I pay on the 1st of April or on the
30th of March.
The 30th of March, the fee is an annual fee and it's not prorated.
Yes.
And which fee are you referring to, Mr. Thompson?
So it's a gaming machine fees which we used to charge a proration for depending on the quarter that you license the machine and for the premises. Probably Vivian or Lorraine could help me in terms of what was the proration before this decision was taken.
But is it that this decision was taken? It's not a decision that was just taken randomly.
No, it was not an arbitrary decision. We were advised legally that there was no provision legally for the fees to be prorated from a legal point of view.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. All right, and we have some questions, some hands raised. Kevin Miller has had his hand raised. Mr. Miller, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Good morning, everyone, and thanks again for the forum. I have been registered for a year now, and this information session goes a far way. I have a question for the TAJ personnel, because I'm still struggling with branch TRN. I'm still not sure I'm getting that at all. Could you once again just try and break it down a little bit? Because, for example, if you have 3 locations, and I'm registered online already, I'm happy now to know that we can actually make the payments, the levy payments online. So that's a very good move on TAJ's part. So I have the account set up already and everything. If I have 3 locations now, and I want to pay for my let's say I have 9 machines and there are 333 on each location for argument's sake, and I want to pay for all 9 machines. I'm not sure I'm understanding how branch TRN comes in and what is the difference between branch TRN and my personal TRN. And I also have a account registered with the Companies Office of Jamaica already. So I have a business operator as a trading as, which I would have been given a TRN for that business name when I did the registration. Do I need another TRN because I have different locations? That is what I'm really not getting. I'm sorry. You're still muted, sorry.
I'm speaking with my mic off. Okay, no problem. The first thing I must ask, the registration that you did at Companies Office of Jamaica, is it a sole proprietorship?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so then if it's any time after 2014, then you would have assigned that one for that first location, unless you would have changed the names for different location. How the branch operates, it's part of your TRN, your individual TRN. So for a business, whichever business type that you have, then each branch represents a location. So it would be your TRN 001 for the first one. If you have another location, then it is 002, your TRN, and 002 for the second location. And for the third, it's your TRN and 003 for the third location. Paying for the boxes now, it would be 3 on each TRN. You wouldn't pay it under your individual TRN, which would end with 000. You'd pay it under the one with the branch 1, the branch 2, and the branch 3. It's just identifying where you are. So if you pay all 9 boxes under 001, what it means is that the other location, when we look at it, even though BGLC will do their due diligence in terms of the number of machines, if we're supposed to look on the system and you come and you say, okay, I paid for 3 for this location and we pull up your TRN, the information will not be under that TRN, it will be under the 001 because that's where you made the payment.
And so in getting those other, this is just a follow-up, in getting those other 2 TRN for the other 2 locations,
right?
That is the form that you had shown that we would have to come to fill out that additional information form.
Yes, or if you have the, since as you say that you have the e-service logon, then what you would do is to just make the application online. So you would need to go in the office. So you basically would need to fill out a form because the form is embedded in that branch registration online.
Also just register quote unquote new branch.
Right.
Okay, got you. I think it's a little bit much though. I think it's a little bit much in terms of, you know, all this paperwork. So if you start having 10 and 20 locations now, it's just all this thing that you have to be doing. I just hope in the future that TJ can find some way to simplify that.
Simplification is one thing, but is identifying where you are. Or will we know that you are at 1 King Street? Or would we know that you are 2 Portmore Road? How would we know? Because that is how we have the information to record it. So I guess it's something that we could look at, but that is how we can identify where you are. So if we're going to look at that location and say, okay, Mr. What's your name?
Miller, Kevin.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
We're coming to look for you.
Well, just 1 point before I go, just 1 point. Maybe we could have a situation where we have the registered TRN for that first location, as you would put it, the 01.
Yes.
And then maybe, you know, we are now required to list the other location. So even, for example, when paying for it, we would select from a list as to parish and maybe location as to where the exact machine is. The location is located where we have those machines. So it's just something to think about, I'm thinking.
Yes, it is. But just a point to note though. So even though you are in the business of machines, other persons are not in the business of machines. So your activity might just be one, while others might be different activities, and it goes through another process for that. So each business type or nature of business is required to have that, and currently we don't have that facility, but we can definitely look into it in regards to your process. But the process also involves other individuals in different type of business activities.
Okay, get you. Thank you for the clarification and the explanation.
All right, you're welcome.
Yes, could I ask a quick question? Just wondering, wouldn't the premise license help to assist with that? Can't they be linked to your TRN, therefore it's all related? Isn't that the reason for a premise license anyway?
But sometimes the person on the premises is different from the person that is paying for the boxes. So the person that is paying for the premises.
Well, then they would be on their own individual, wouldn't they? Rather than, especially for TSP. The premise license should be able to link all of the TSPs with the premises.
As I would say again, for income tax
operator, right?
Yeah, business, and each income would have to be submitted separately. So as the premises operator, you'll pay for your license, and we're going to expect the income tax return to be filed. This is not an income tax forum, but as a tax administration representative, we will look for the income from that separately. And currently, we do not have the facility to link the business for the boxes as related to the person for the premises, because those are different business activities or different business, so they are separate and apart from each other.
All right, so if I may then, so yes. What you're suggesting for income tax purposes, then, for example, a TSP now would have to file for every location that they have separate and apart?
No, it's one income, and that is filed under the individual branch. It's one income. It's just that to find you where you are. So if you're saying you're operating from one space, and should TAJ required to go out to look for that person there at one place, and then we see you have more than one branches, then that is a red flag. So if you have all those declares from one location, the income that you declare is for one, and is one return that is filed. I'm not sure if that helps.
No, that's, so you're saying, okay, under the TSP, you would still file normally under your corporate, right?
Yeah, yes,
Correct?
yes.
Right. And then other than that, you would also individually file for all the
No.
locations?
No. So your business is in the business of machines. So your income is coming from 10 locations. So you'll have your 10 location and the related expenses that is related to that on your one return that is filed on. If it's an individual, it's under that main branch, which is your individual branch. If it is an organization, then it would be in your income tax return, which is on your ITO2, which would be in your statement. So the
Okay, so it's reflected there.
location,
Okay, so we would need to do that. We would need, so corporate then would not need to do what you're requesting then in the sense of by each ID or branch.
I'm not understanding.
Well, if you're saying that these things are filed via your income tax returns, are you suggesting that we also need to break it down on the TOJ web portal? This is what I'm trying to find out.
No, the income, remember you're in, is a business, you know, so we can't have it just skewed to BGLC only because you have different type of activities. So your business is in the business of machines. So you have 10 locations. So the income from all 10 locations will be filed on one form. How the branches come about is to identify where you are and where you make the payments for, which is the license fees.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, okay.
Okay, all right.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Thank you. Question, Ms. Colburn, if we receive requests for more assistance from TAJ, would you prefer us to refer them directly to the TAJ helpline, or what is the best approach?
Yeah, the TAJ helpline is very effective in that regard. And we also have the taxpayer education unit as well that assist.
Thank you very much for that. A question here, what is the maximum branch numbers that can be assigned?
How much would you want? Because we have up to 100 and had so far on some organizations.
Okay, all right. Jamola Dillon is asking Mr. Thompson, when BGLC approves transfer of a machine, will they advise TAJ?
No, there's no need to advise the TAJ. The machine has been licensed for a 12-month period. It's removed during the 12-month period. The commission keeps a track of those transfers. So it's only at the next licensing period now that TAJ is updated by the licensee.
Okay. I see Wainwright McFarlane has his hand up. Would you like to unmute your mic and ask a question, Mr. McFarlane?
I have a company, but I also have other locations that I am not responsible for the location. I only have box in those premises. Do I still have to get the extension of each one, the TRN extension on each one?
Yes, because those boxes are yours.
Wow, that's a lot of extension on the as you have to know, go back company's office and get that same 001, 002, 003, 0, whatever, go for that.
No, you don't.
You
don't have.
You make the changes on the office.
Somebody else is saying something?
No.
Oh, okay. No, you don't have to go back to Companies Office of Jamaica. If it's the same name as your business name, you don't need to go. You just use the online process.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Premises that we are in, it has the owner of the premises name. So for instance, you have a bar. This bar's name is Base Bar, but my company is not Base Bar. Understand?
Right.
So you're telling me that I would have to get the extension for the TRN for that company because I have boxes there, but it's not in my name. Only the boxes are in my name.
Right, but you're registering your boxes.
Yeah.
The location of the boxes you'll be registering. not the premises per se. So it's not your company, you just have your boxes there.
You're right.
Right,
It's
so
not
if you have,
it's not my premises.
right, no, so you're not going to company's office to Jamaica. So you would just add your branches to say that you have these boxes there. You're into gaming at that location.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So only the ones that is in the company name need to have the extension for that.
Precisely.
Okay, understand.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question. For TAJ, if we need you to clear a return/GTO1 form upload because it has an error in it, and we need to resubmit a return GTO1 form upload, is someone there who monitors that, or do we need to keep calling you to ask for it to be done? This relates to something else.
Yes, it does. But we have the contact center that will, when you forward the information to them, then they reach out to the production support unit, which is where I am at. And we usually look to see what is happening there. And they usually contact you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Maitland is asking regarding the branch TRN number that is assigned to a location. When the machine is moved from that location, what would happen to that number?
Then they advise us in writing to close that one.
Okay, and they would have to request a new branch number for the new location, presumably.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right, great. Thank you very much. If there are other questions for TAJ, Ms. Colburn, are you staying on to the end to answer any questions that may come up at the end later?
Yes.
Thank you so much. So now we will just ask Miss Lorraine James, Senior Licensing Officer, to just speak to us about submitting our applications for renewing or applying for new gaming machine and premises licenses. Lorraine?
Good morning again. So just a reminder of all the different ways that you can submit your applications. One, you can do so by face-to-face at BGLC and by making an appointment with one of our LNR officers, or you can contact our direct line at 630-1353. All right, applications can also be delivered to our BGLC drop box that is located in our office. And 3, you can submit your applications via WhatsApp, courier, or email. And you can do so by emailing to info@bglc.gov.jm or to our licensing at bglc.gov.jm, sorry. All right, we encourage persons when you're submitting applications via courier, WhatsApp, or email to ensure that the documents, when you take photos of these documents, they are taken properly, and we encourage persons to place all of these documents on a flat surface, plain flat surface, that you can get all the relevant information on there. That when you send it, all the relevant information is displayed. Next one, we have mentioned before that there will be some remote licensing exercise that will be taking place, and there will be 3, one at the Mandeville Tax Office, which will be on February 28 and March 1, at the Montego Bay on March 7 and 8, and also at the Savannah branch on March 14 and 15. We encourage persons to pay prior to going to these sessions to avoid delays. And your application forms can be downloaded from our website at www.bglc.gov.jm. And any queries, you can reach out to any one of our licensing and registration officers as well, and contact us at the BGLC office number, or email us at our licensing at bglc.gov or WhatsApp. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Janet, or if there are any questions?
Thank you, Lorraine. We just have a quick video just to recap some of what Lorraine said about submitting your applications. Thank you. There is a question here, which is a THA question. If I lose my THA machine payment receipt, how can I get a reprint to submit at BGLC?
We don't do reprint of receipt, but we have what is called certificate of payments. As long as the information is there, then we can tell you. And it goes back to what I was saying in terms of the location. So we'll just put that you paid $10,000, but we would know if it's for one place or another. So if it is on each branch, then from there we could give you one for each.
Well, a good recommendation for everybody is as soon as you get your THA receipt, take a picture of it. So at least you always have record of the payment. So if you lose
it is there.
you still have
the payment is there. The payment is there, man, but it's just a certificate of payment which gives you the detail of the payment.
Sure, thank you. Terrence King, you have your hand raised. May I ask you to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, good afternoon. I was checking about, like, for instance, someone have some gaming box at a location, but they have deceased, and how can you go about that? You have to go through the process of that certificate or so to renew these box.
Mr. Thompson or one of your officers? So there you
Lorraine.
Good afternoon, Mr. King. It's King, right?
Afternoon.
Right. So of course, upon someone passing and they would have licensed the boxes, there are legal implications before we can just automatically license the boxes. So you would have to provide evidence as to what your relationship with that individual is, as to we'll have consideration will have to be given as to whether or not the person died with a will or without. So I would invite you to contact the office, or I will have an officer speak to you, and we can establish what the particular circumstances are so that we can guide you as to what's the next motion.
Okay, that's better, because some more maybe a private situation as well, you know. So
right. You're an existing licensee?
Yes.
Okay.
But I have a different location from what I'm talking about.
Understood. I just want to confirm that we have you on record so that we have your number so that we can contact you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So we have one more.
One of them I'm just get. So I location must. For the box, I'm gonna have a transfer. I transfer them from somewhere. So I just, I said, one of them I transfer, just I get them on there. So you know, so then I share with it.
Just ask him to mute his mic. I think he doesn't know that he's on off mute.
I said,
okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so we have one more poll question. I'll ask technical support to pull that up. What is the method you will most likely use to submit your license application? Email, face-to-face at BGLC by appointment, face-to-face at one of the THA office locations, Mandeville, Mobay, or South, or deliver to BGLC.
Jeanette, there's a question from Mr. Maitland that we had said we had left. I didn't think we had addressed it.
Thank you for that reminder, Maurice. You have the question in front of you. You can ask the question while the poll is in process.
Hold on.
It was an earlier question, wasn't it?
It's an earlier question, yes.
Let's see if I find it, or if Mr. Maitland wants to open his mic.
Maitland. It has something with the delayed due diligence. We had asked that the high level due diligence be delayed during the pandemic. He wanted to know if if that is still in place. I'd ask Mr. Evans to look at the question.
I don't think that was Mr. Maitland. That would
Oh.
have been.
I think that was Mr. Francis who asked that
Right,
question.
Mr. Martin Francis.
Yes, yes, Mr. Francis. Yes, you're right, Vivian.
That relates to gaming lounges.
Our higher level due diligence. Don't say only gaming lounge. Higher level due diligence.
High level, right.
Yes.
The question here is in the due diligence. There was an issue with the cost of the investigation for directors of a company to be completed by BGLC. Has this been resolved? Mr. Evans had, due to the pandemic and huge loss of earnings of some gaming operators, I think that was gaming lounges, waived the requirement for persons to submit renewal due diligence forms. Is this now changed? Most of us are still suffering with huge loss of revenue due to the pandemic. Maurice?
I say I can't answer that. Is either Mr. Baki or Mr. Evans could answer that question. And Mr. Baki just left the meeting.
Okay, so Mr. Francis, I think that's a question that we certainly have to take under advisement and would have to be evaluated and discussed. And we certainly will communicate the findings via another forum. Are there any other questions that we have omitted?
No, I think we have gone through all the questions have been answered.
Okay, see a new message coming up in the chat. Right, okay, fine. All right, so in regard to our poll question, we see that a number of persons are interested in delivering. So you can send your documents, complete documents, all the receipts, all the supporting documents in your application form. You can deliver, you can send by courier to the drop box at BGLC, and the licensing officers, when they open, will certainly acknowledge receipt. Email is also available to licensing, licensing at bglc.gov.jm. And we will send a follow-up email to everyone who we have an email address for to recap some of this information. Face-to-face, if you want to come face-to-face, of course, we're doing this by appointment. Please call and a licensing officer will give you a specific appointment to come in. We see nobody has selected of the 38 respondents. Nobody has said they would be coming face-to-face at THA locations, but we still expect that some people will be there, as we have many more licensees that are registered over and above who are here today. So thank you very much for that.
Janet, one of the points I want to reiterate that Lorraine James had made was that since so many persons have indicated that it's courier, one of the issues that we have had with the courier forms and that affects the turnaround time, it's the issue of the printing of the supporting documents and the proper completion of the documents. Remember, we get these documents and they are pulled from the Dropbox probably 24 hours after. And sometimes when we call persons about the, correcting the forms or updating the forms, their own delay sometimes causes a delay in processing the license, because we can't start the processing without the forms being completed. So we implore persons to ensure that, especially the person who uses the Dropbox, because we're not seeing you face-to-face and the corrections cannot be made in real time, we implore you to ensure that the information that you filled in is correct and the supporting documents are legible and are clear for the officers to see.
Thank you very much. So I think we have come to the end of our planned presentations.
One question. Mr. Eunice asked if Mr. Goldberg will be sending the video on how to add that new branch ID. But I think you had indicated about something about the presentation from Ms. Goldberg, right?
Right. So we will arrange to have the presentation from THA put on our website, and we'll share that link. And we also, I see Mr. Davis is asking if we can have the presentation put online. The recording of this online forum will be placed on our YouTube channel, and so that will be available generally. We covered a lot of ground in terms of general information. So that information will be generally available on an ongoing basis for your reference on our YouTube channel. And we certainly will repeat this kind of forum again, in another few months, so that if there are other questions, we can certainly address those as things arise. You can always contact us via WhatsApp at 876-224-2452. Email licensing with an S at bglc.gov.jm. And we also have an alternate email address, info@bglc.gov.jm. We're on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter and Facebook, and we do check for direct messages if you're on those forums, but do follow us on our social media because we do communicate a lot of information via that channel as well. And you can find us, for instance, on Instagram. We are at BGLC JA, at BGLC JA. It used to be JM, but that has changed. On Facebook, you can find us at BGLC. We are BGLC.com, BGLCOMM, but you can just search for Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Commission. And on Twitter, you can find us at BGLC Jamaica. So if there are no other questions.
Mr. Maitland, about something about a stamp copy. I'm not understanding the question, Mr. Maitland. Probably could just open your mic and ask. Or Vivian and Lorraine, I don't know if you understand the question.
So he's, in terms of the outcome of your license application is the license certificate and the actual.
Yes, I'm here now.
Hi, Mr. Maitland.
Hello, Mr. Maitland.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Now, I was saying email submission would be good for the application, but we normally like a stamped copy from BGLC for a reference. In case of anything, we can always show that, it was submitted. That's what I was referring to. Or the email would stand as a record. The submission of the...
What I understand you to be asking about is normally when you submit an application in office, you would have received a receipt, correct?
No, the application itself. Sometimes I copy it because sometimes we need a reference.
So you would want an endorsed copy of the application?
Yeah, endorsed copy, yeah.
Okay. Well, if you require that, I'm sure we can always try to facilitate.
Okay, thanks.
So the licensee who wants some kind of confirmation or stamped copy of their electronically submitted application, you're saying they should just request this confirmation and you'll arrange to provide it. So,
certainly.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. For TSP applications, will that be prorated due to the time taken to process this application? Mr. Thompson?
As I said, generally there's no proration of technical service provider fee either. The only, I mean, that's something I have to get back on, but there's no proration of the fees. So what we implore TSPs to do is to ensure that the application is made at least 6 weeks before. So come the 1st of April, the license will be ready.
So, Mr. Thompson, if somebody submits their application on the 31st of March, does that mean they cannot operate until they get back the license? What is
for the technical service provider, they cannot they can make machines, but certainly cannot sell them. We not be licensed machines sold during the period when they did not have a license.
So the advice is submit your license application by 6 weeks before, which would have been the 14th of February, but you haven't submitted it yet. Submit it now so that you are likely to have the application processed in time.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And the issue of proration, the BGLC is not authorized to prorate any fees because the legislation does not permit that to happen.
Correct.
And we are a public body that is created and governed by the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. So the decisions related to certain matters have to be guided by the provisions of that act. Correct? Okay.
Yes.
Well,
correct.
if there are no other questions, let me just take one. I'm not seeing any new questions in the chat, and I'm not noticing any hands raised. But of course, I've given you all the contact points, so we're always available to ask questions, to respond to your questions and provide assistance. So all that is left for me to do now is to say thank you to you all who took the time to spend with us this morning to get the information on license applications and renewals. A special thank you to our guests from TAJ who took the time out to spend with us. They are our important partner in this process. Also to our team led by Mr. Evans, our Executive Director, Mr. Thompson, the Director of Licensing, and the Licensing and Registration Officers and Senior Officers, Lorraine, Vivian, and the other officers who are here. To our directors, Mr. Baki, who was present and had to leave, thank you so much. Our WhatsApp number, I'm asked to repeat it, is 876-224-2452. And that number is usually responded to, messages are usually responded to within a few hours on a business day, which is Monday to Friday, from 8:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. And yes, Mr. Thompson, this recording will be up on YouTube. It may take us a few days to get it up, but it would certainly be up on YouTube, and we will send out an email notice to everybody who was here and all our licensees to advise and provide the link at that time. Mr. Maitland, thank you. This is a good meeting, but the biggest challenge for most persons will be the addition of the TRN branch number for individual locations. I'm sure Ms. Goldburn and the THA team have made note of the comments, and we anticipate they will provide some solution in future. Which communication is most reliable in terms of timely response other than calling? WhatsApp is probably the next best. It is actually monitored consistently during the workday. We do try to respond within 3 or 4 hours of a message coming in. During the working hours, Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m.
For on a Friday, and the licensing email to Jeanette, I think we do both the info and the license email. We do respond, I think, within every day that is cleared.
Licensing at bglc.gov.jm with an S. Yeah. So we'll email all of these links. Someone asked earlier for a summary. Certainly, the key points will be indicated in the recap email that we're going to circulate, which we'll have out probably in another week. Can we do a bank transfer to pay for licensing? This is coming from Ricardo Thompson. So if you bank with Scotiabank, then we suggest that you register BGLC as one of your billing, as one of the bill payments, and do the payment as a bill payment. If you bank with another bank, that's a trickier question, because we are not registered as bill to accept bill payments from other banks, or the bank we bank with, Scotiabank. So we will take some time to look about how we might, and the practicalities of registering as a bill payee with other banks. Mr. Thompson, would you care to say which specific bank you might want to do a transfer from? If somebody from finance is here, or Mr. Thompson or Vivian, you might be able to help us in terms of RTGS transfers.
Well, as I would have alluded to earlier, Jeanette, well, there should be no issue with RTGS or ACHS transfers to the BGLC account. However, we do ask that persons input their name and TRN in the comment section when doing a transfer.
All right. And what you can do is email licensing@bglc.gov.jm for specific details. Nadia Brown asks, if you have 50 locations when you go inline TAJ, is it that you have to register each location? Yes, Ms. Brown, if you have. Sorry, Maurice?
No, I think that's what Ms. Colburn said. Yes, all 50 locations need to be registered.
So if you have 50 machines at 50 separate locations, even though you are not the premises operator or owner for the locations, you still have to register the location for each of the machines. If you have 10 locations and the machines are 50 machines are split between 10 locations, you register 10 locations. When are we receiving the new customer numbers? Mr. Thompson or Vivian, would you care to share how the distribution of the customer numbers is going?
So the customer numbers are available for collection. If you come to the office, you can certainly ask for it. There are some customers who will be receiving the information otherwise, but certainly once you come to the commission, or even if you send us an email or call us, we can provide you with the customer number. But as it relates to the customer card, we ask that you collect the card from the office, or if you wish to have someone pick up the card for you, we can send authorization, and that can be arranged.
So the customer numbers are automatically assigned when you submit an application and it's put in our system. We have created a customer card so that you can have something tangible to help you remember the number. And as Vivian said, if you call or email, you'll also share the numbers as long as we can validate the identity of the person to get the number. Would the BGLC be open to having another bank account other than Scotiabank? I'm not sure that's a question that I can answer. I saw our Director of Finance was on earlier, Lorraine Thompson Barnett, but I believe she might have come off. So that is a trickier question outside the scope of my remit to respond to. I'm just looking to see if there's anybody else here that might be able to manage that question, and it does not appear so.
Well, Jeanette, I think it would be instructive if Mr. Maitland could indicate why is it that he would want us to have another bank account, because if you're currently, we will facilitate electronic transfer from other banks.
Okay, and there are other ways to make payment other than bank transfer. You can go online to do a Bill Express online, to make payment via Bill Express online as well. Is it possible for a test time in future to try out a location before starting all of this process? Mr. Thompson? Somebody wants to market.
Miss or Mr. Campbell or Mrs. Campbell, the betting game lotteries calls for all locations to be licensed prior to machines being placed there. So it's not possible to do a test run on a location unless it's licensed.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, Ms. Campbell or Mr. Campbell, we are governed by the strictures of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. So, you know, anybody who wants to provide any kind of gambling service in Jamaica, be it a gaming machine, be it a bingo party, be it a prize promotion, a lottery, a raffle at church, because it is gambling and we're required by law to protect consumers and ensure the integrity of gambling in Jamaica, a license is required before you can start offering any form of gambling service in Jamaica. Mr. Walker says, my truth is BNS is not very flexible or reliable where transfers are concerned, especially from other banks. Fortunately, that's not something we are able to comment on. What we do is invite you to look at some of the other options that we offer for making payments. We have already established with Bill Express, which you can do online as well as physically in store. And we are already working with Paymaster so that we're expanding the options and providing many more locations for payments to be made. As we develop our own systems, we certainly are looking at how we can manage to take direct payments on our website, but that also is something that is in the future. So you can actually pay directly online to BGLC. That is for the future. At a time I cannot predict at this stage when that will be in place. All right, well, thank you very much. We've taken 2 hours of your day and really appreciate your attention, your engagement, and your participation. We are available to answer your questions, and all the contact information that we've given before. You can see some of the contact details on the screen behind me to my right, left. There we go. There we go. So thank you very much. And everybody have a good day. Thank you so much also to our technical support team at Affinity, who have been really wonderful in making sure that we could engage with you in this way. Everybody take care and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, licensees.
Thank you. Have
Great
a good
day.
day as well.
Jenny, it's time for renew the gaming machine license, you know. Bet say you not start nothing yet.
Yes, village lawyer. Me know so the license them expire March 31 and me need for renew by April 1. Me already download the form them from the betting, gaming and lotteries website, full them out and pay the machine and premises levies at the tax office.
Bet say you never know you can pay the BGLC license fees at any bill express though.
Bet you never know so them change how to submit your documents cause of COVID-19. You have to send in your forms and proof of payments by email or WhatsApp, or you can use the Dropbox at BGLC headquarters.
We never know that.
Yeah man, licensing info is on them website bglc.gov.jm.
Alright, Bright Sparks. Me gonna go finish renew my license. Can't make March 31 catch me out.
A message from the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission, the BGLC.
Jenny, it's time for renew the gaming machine license, you know. Bet say you not start nothing yet.
Yes, village lawyer. Me know so the license them expire March 31 and me need for renew by April 1. Me already download the form them from the betting, gaming and lotteries website, full them out and pay the machine and premises levies at the tax office.
Bet say you never know you can pay the BGLC license fees at any bill express though.
Bet you never know so them change how to submit your documents cause of COVID-19. You have to send in your forms and proof of payments by email or WhatsApp, or you can use the Dropbox at BGLC headquarters.
We never know that.
Yeah man, licensing info is on them website bglc.gov.jm.
Alright, Bright Sparks. Me gonna go finish renew my license. Can't make March 31 catch me out.
A message from the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission, the BGLC.
Jenny, it's time for renew the gaming machine license, you know. Bet say you not start nothing yet.
Yes, village lawyer. Me know so the license them expire March 31 and me need for renew by April 1. Me already download the form them from the betting, gaming and lotteries website, full them out and pay the machine and premises levies at the tax office.
Bet say you never know you can pay the BGLC license fees at any bill express though.
Bet you never know so them change how to submit your documents cause of COVID-19. You have to send in your forms and proof of payments by email or WhatsApp, or you can use the Dropbox at BGLC headquarters.
We never know that.
Yeah man, licensing info is on them website bglc.gov.jm.
Alright, Bright Sparks. Me gonna go finish renew my license. Can't make March 31 catch me out.
A message from the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission, the BGLC.